Hi, everybody. This is Pete Lyons with Let's Play Salesforce, and tonight we are reviving the Community Spotlight series. And so I am joined by my special guest, Sayantani Mitra, who's going to talk with us about her experience involving Einstein analytics. So I guess we'll start with the easy one. Why don't you tell us who you are and how you got into analytics?
Hi, this is Sayantani Mitra, as Peter just told you. I am from India, and before I came anywhere near the world of data, I was doing environmental impact assessments in India and got bored of what I was doing and got a degree from New York University in urban science and informatics, and then joined a company working in platform as a service with the basis of Salesforce and Einstein Analytics. Our Einstein Analytics is mostly used by the community. So that's my background.
All right. So, what is your current role in Einstein Analytics?
I use Einstein Analytics for everything. So I'm the primary person responsible for our interaction with Einstein Analytics. So starting from data flow, dashboards, lenses, community, creating apps, you name it, I do it.
How have things with Einstein Analytics and your role in the ecosystem changed between when you first got started and today? And also, like, when would you say approximately that you got started using it?
I got started using initially in March 2017 when I joined this company, but more intensely from January of 2018. So you can say a year.
All right. And how has the tool evolved in that time for you, and how have your roles and responsibilities evolved?
So initially I started with using Einstein Analytics with very simple SQL queries and simple dashboards and charts, mostly to make my life as a data scientist easier, and then slowly evolved into the role of a full-time Einstein Analytics person, because when I joined the organization, there was just one person using it, and it continued to be one. But it's Salesforce, so people move within the organization or into other organizations using Salesforce. So I continued working with Einstein Analytics from what it used to be more of SQL. I find it much more user friendly right now. So some of our other colleagues can use part of the things you would not be able to do in 2017 just from the UI, and definitely happy that it is moving in the right direction.
All right. And can you give us some stats? Like, tell us what you're working with.
This organization works heavily on a multi-tenant Salesforce-based PaaS, and we run over 140 million rows currently. 100 million rows of that runs every day through the data flow. So it's pretty big when you think about it.
Yeah, and I've definitely had some nightmares myself, and you run into a lot of considerations about how you have to work with larger data differently. Either how are
Yes.
we filtering our dashboards, how are we optimizing our data flows. What are some tips or comments that you can give us around dealing with these larger volumes of data?
So a few things is, when you are working with large volumes of data, one comes up extremely important is the fragility of the data flow. Well, in Spring 19, we can have a save and test button, but till date we don't. So if you have a comma out of place when you are doing a compute expression or a compute relative, you are stuck. There is no way until and unless the data flow runs for the next 8 hours, I have no way of knowing that it's going to fail or it's going to work. So that becomes one of my biggest considerations, and hence I personally tend not to edit the data flow until and unless it's a Friday, and then I have another 2 days if I know something has crashed on me. So one of the important things that I always think is, when you're working with the data flow, keep saving your data flow every time you add a node or edit something, because you might have to go back to the previous version when your current version doesn't work. For dashboards, it's use pages. It's a great asset to use. So continue using that as much as you can. I wish it was more than 20 pages, but we are limited to 20 currently. Uh, Replications for data flows, it works, but it doesn't work for formula fields, and a number of objects in our platform are solely based on formulas from Salesforce, and that's why we don't use it currently, but it's good to use for if you don't work with formula fields. You can use bindings. It is good, but it might be slow at times if you have too much of binding. Peter, you are the right person to speak about it, though. Dashboard Inspector is a good place to check, especially if you have steps which sound very similar. You will not know it automatically, but the Dashboard Inspector can tell you, hey, this step looks very similar to this step. Why don't you combine them? At times it's possible, at times it's not. But the more steps you have, the more time it takes for dashboards to load. Also, using filters in the digest nodes. So one of the things that I keep doing is adding a lot of global filters in the dashboard when I start creating or editing them, because I need to reduce my volume. I cannot run a dashboard which takes 5 minutes to load every time I make a small change.
Those are actually some really good takeaways that I just wanted to reflect on for just a minute. First off, pages to break up monolithic dashboards. This is so profoundly important. We can get to all the insights that we need to, but if we spread them out just a little bit, it gives you a much cleaner UI experience. It's a lot easier to consume for the end user, and you're not trying to run every single query on the dashboard at once. We get to kind of spread them out just a little bit. Also, really important to call that out. Formula fields are not supported in replication. Hopefully that's something that they are going to turn around in the future. And the other thing I wanted to call out is that if you are using replication, using filter nodes in the digest is not going to be supported. And you could get mixed results if you have if you're digesting the same object multiple times across different data flows. It's going to reflect the filtration that was applied to the one that was most recently retrieved. So in a replication scenario, you're going to want to use those filter transformations that are in the data flow itself. And then lastly, I can't point out how many times I've gone back to the inspector in hindsight only to realize I should have looked at it in the first place. The way that we can really trace through how all bindings have resolved and really see the kind of pressure that our queries are putting on the server, it's a really great starting point for optimizing those dashboards and getting those load times down. But yeah, I can't agree with you more that these are some really excellent tips on addressing those large volume data scenarios. And if I could add one more into it, if you're in an embedded context and you have multiple record types of your object, a really great way to reduce the dashboard load time is to kind of pre-filter that data set to the context of at least the record type of the object that you're looking at. And you can do that with global filters or whatnot and just have a couple different variations of the dashboard. This is going to allow you to, focus on that effort of reduce the data volume as much as you can to only what you actually need before consumption. But enough about me. This is really your interview. I digress.
No, but those are very important points as well.
So tell us about some of your favorite features of dashboards and different things that help you to build more powerful ones.
Bindings, all the way bindings, and more fun to play with when you're actually looking on the screen. The filters are hiding, they are coming out. The way especially Edpicot does it, that gives me the ideas and I play with it, and then something comes up. It's fun. It's like everything is randomized. You can come up with anything you want. So, and bindings, you can choose any year, you can choose any measure, you can choose the number of rows you want to show in a table initially, which also reduces the amount of time it takes to load load a dashboard, by the way. The toggles that are available for similar type of fields, or the way you can choose your columns dynamically. Before the pages were there, it was a big trouble for me because I had dashboards with 10 bindings, but now, as you were saying, pages, I can distribute the bindings across the pages, so I don't have that problem any longer. I don't have 10 bindings in one page any longer. I'm very happy about that.
Awesome. So do you got any fun stories for us where maybe something went wrong or everybody had a good laugh, or can you give us a nice story about something that you've encountered along the way?
Yes. So This was sometime around 6, 7 months ago. This happened. There was a demo Friday late afternoon one day. So the data flow, as I was saying, used to take 8+ hours, and it has reduced right now to around 6 hours, because I changed a 190 node uh, data data flow. I broke it out into different parts, and now it's distributed in different data flows. So it's now 5 hours, but it's still a lot of time. So imagine what happened when it was 8 hours. So early morning, I get a ping from the person who was giving the demo that the data we put in inside is not showing in the data flow. Okay, great. What happened? The job killed due to inactivity, and one of those things that Salesforce does not send you a notice about. So I'm the person who gets a notification every time the data flow fails, but job killed due to inactivity does not send you a notification for that. So instantly got up, started the data flow again. Just 5 minutes before the demo started, the data flow finally finished. I was frustrated. I was completely out of bounds for 8 hours the whole day, because I didn't know when the data flow is going to finish. Everyone who had access kept hitting refresh just to see if it's finished, but it takes time.
Spam that refresh button. And
Yep.
it's really great that in recent releases we did get the ability to subscribe to scheduled data flows that we did not schedule. So that's a nice improvement, especially when you have somebody who receiving those error notifications who might not necessarily understand the importance of knowing that information. So really great that we can add that for ourselves now. And I totally can appreciate the frustration of sitting there and spamming the refresh button, just waiting for it to happen. And no, not yet.
The problem is sometimes it's your own data that we can cook up the data and send it because it's a demo. But then at times the clients give us the data. We want to see our data and see how it performs on your platform. And then if you can't show that data to them, it's not something you want to hear in the demo, right?
Absolutely. So if you could talk about, if you could define the roadmap and tell us what a couple of features that were going to come to EA would be, what would be your top picks?
The first one will be replicate formula fields, please, in the data flow. I can reduce my data flow runtime from almost 6 hours to an hour, and I can run it multiple times in the day. Now, you know how you cannot do scheduling yet in Einstein Analytics, and some of our clients they need a notification whenever something happens, or they need a notification every Monday to go and check what happened to their data. Also, a little more formatting, so you cannot change the column width, you cannot change cannot wrap text, and more colored palettes in the charts will definitely be helpful.
So I think we're just about ready to wrap up here, but I do have one more question for you. As somebody who kind of had to figure things out on your own in the space, do you have any advice for people who are just getting started about what they can do?
You might have heard Jennifer and me keep telling that we are still beginners. So keep a beginner's mind. It's easy to learn if you say that you don't know. It's far easy because you're not frustrated that how am I an expert if I don't know something? You're not. Every one of us is still learning it. And continue playing. The more you play, the more you understand, the more you can figure out things. And whenever you hit hurdles, ask the community, watch Peter's video, watch Carl's video, and one of the blogs I go to is Vicky's and Joanne's. There might be other blogs as well, but these two have continue helping me every day.
So that's all we got for tonight. Sayantani, I want to thank you for joining us and sharing your story. And to any of you out there, if you have an interesting Einstein Analytics story about your journey through the ecosystem, feel free to reach out to me. We do have openings for more videos on the Community Spotlight series. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, tell a friend, and as always, thanks for watching.